Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you the story you think you know about King Von's so-called last night was nothing but a perfectly packaged illusion? What if the news, the headlines, the blogs, every single outlet you trusted had already decided the ending before the script was even written? Shocking? Oh, we're just getting warmed up. Because tonight, I'm about to drag out the receipts, the late night whispers, and yes, the phone call that was never meant to see the light of day. Now pause for a second. Why would King Von, a man who supposedly met his end in the most public, chaotic, and violent way imaginable, be reaching out in secret to someone nobody expected? Why would his voice be shaking, almost as if he knew the entire world was about to be played like puppets in a stage show written by forces way bigger than street politics? And if this final call was real, then what does that make of the official story we've all been spoon-fed? A cover-up? A conspiracy? Or just a kind of dirty little secret that powerful people bury 6 feet deep? Right alongside the truth? Don't blink. Don't scroll. Because what I'm about to reveal isn't just messy. It's the kind of scandal that makes you rethink every tweet, every headline, and every so-called witness who swore they knew the truth. If you thought you've heard every angle of King Von's story, buckle up, because tonight I'm flipping the script, tearing it wide open, and exposing the one night they never wanted you to know about. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not waste any time, because if you've clicked on this video, you already know something isn't adding up. King Von's death has been dissected more times than a science experiment in a high school lab, and yet the pieces never quite fit. The official story tells us he was caught in a street altercation, shots were fired, and he died tragically young. Tragic? Yes. Believable? Not even close. You see, the story that never made the headlines is the story they prayed you'd never hear. And it starts with a phone call. Not just any phone call, but one that happened hours before his alleged death. One that proves Von wasn't just another casualty of street violence. He was hiding something, and maybe even hiding himself. Let me take you back for a moment. Remember Asian Doll, Von's on-again, off-again whirlwind romance? Social media turned their relationship into a soap opera. Breakups, makeups, public arguments, subliminal tweets. Fans ate it up like candy. But what if I told you that behind all the drama, Von was running a completely separate playbook? One that had nothing to do with love and everything to do with survival. Because according to anonymous sources, and by anonymous, I mean people who would rather lose their Wi-Fi than have their names out in public, Von was already planning an exit. That's right, the king of drill wasn't just living fast. He was planning how to disappear faster. Now, think about this. You've seen the footage, right? The chaos outside the hookah lounge, the flashing lights, the headlines screaming breaking news. But here's the million-dollar question. If Von was really in the middle of that chaos, then how do we explain the call logs at night? Call logs that show Von was dialing out, not once, not twice, but multiple times, to a private number registered under a name you wouldn't believe if I said it. And trust me, I'll get there. But before I do, let's address the elephant in the room. Why do so many stories around Von's death feel scripted? You know the drill. Pun intended. A young rapper on the rise. Tension in the streets. Shots fired. Life cut short. Haven't we seen this movie before? Haven't we been force-fed the same tragedy until we can recite the ending in our sleep? Tupac, Biggie, XXXTentacion, Pop Smoke. Different names, same recycled plotline. It's almost like the industry runs on it. And here's where it gets messy. What if Von knew he was next? What if he understood that the only way to beat the script was to rewrite it? Cue the late-night phone call. According to our so-called insiders, Von reached out just hours before his death. His voice, shaky. His tone, paranoid. Almost like he knew what was coming. One anonymous source, let's call him Dre, because why not, claims Von said, they think they got me, but they don't even know where I'm at. I'm already gone. Gone? Think about that. If the man himself said he was already gone, then who exactly were we watching on those viral clips? Who exactly did the headlines tell us was lying lifeless on the pavement? A stunt double? A body double? Or was it all just staged? Now, skeptics will roll their eyes. They'll say, come on, that's impossible. Why would anyone fake something like this? But to that, I ask, Why wouldn't they? Hollywood fakes explosions. Reality TV fakes drama. Influencers fake their entire lives on Instagram. You're telling me the music industry, with millions on the line, record deals pending, and reputations at stake, wouldn't fake a narrative to protect their golden goose? Please. And let's not forget the breadcrumbs Vaughn himself left behind. The cryptic tweets. The late-night Instagram lives where he hinted at knowing too much. The sudden paranoia that even his closest friends brushed off as Vaughn just being Vaughn. What if those weren't random moments of paranoia, but actual warnings? What if he was trying to tell us all along that something bigger was coming? Let's talk about the inner circle. Every great scandal has one. The entourage, the best friends, the day ones who suddenly can't keep their story straight. Some say Vaughn was at the club. Others swear he never even walked in. Some claim they saw him get carried into the hospital. Others insist he was already gone before the first ambulance arrived. Inconsistencies piled on inconsistencies. And the more you look at them, the less the official story makes sense. And that's where the phone call becomes the smoking gun. According to leaked call records that mysteriously vanished within days of the incident, Vaughn's last calls were to a number traced to a quiet residential address. Not a studio, not a label office, not even a friend's place. A random suburban home that, according to neighbors, had been rented out just days before the chaos went down. Coincidence? Or cover-up? Now let me paint you a picture. Imagine Vaughn, the night of the incident, not standing in the middle of chaos, but sitting in a dimly lit room, phone in hand, whispering to the one person he thought he could trust. Imagine him saying, "This ain't it. I'm not going out like that. Y'all gonna see something, but it won't be me." Imagine the chills running down your spine as you realize the footage we all saw might not be the truth, but a distraction. And here's the kicker. The person he called wasn't just anyone. No. According to the whispers, Vaughn reached out to someone outside the music world, outside the street life. Someone ordinary. Someone so far removed from the chaos that nobody would ever think to connect the dots, which is exactly why he chose them. Because sometimes the safest place to hide is in plain sight. So now the question becomes, who was on the other end of that call? Who heard the fear in his voice? Who holds the key to rewriting the entire narrative we've been fed for years? We'll get to that. Oh, don't worry. I'm not letting you off that easy. But first, let's dive deeper into scandals that surrounded Vaughn even before this night. Because once you understand a pattern of chaos that followed him, you'll see exactly why this theory isn't just possible, it's probable. Because let's be real, King Vaughn was no stranger to scandal. If anything, chaos followed him like a shadow he could never shake. And the deeper you look, the harder it is to believe that his death was just a random act of violence. No, this was a man whose entire career was built on controversy, whispers, and stories that never quite added up. And that's exactly why the phone call, the so-called secret night, suddenly makes perfect sense. Let's rewind. Remember the infamous Chicago cases? The endless headlines about Vaughn being connected to street incidents that magically never stuck in court? Charges dropped. Witnesses disappeared. Stories fell apart in courtrooms faster than a sandcastle at high tide. Coincidence? Or was someone cleaning up after him? And this is where it gets sticky. Because if Vaughn had protection, and not the kind you buy at the corner store, I mean serious industry protection, then maybe, just maybe, his death wasn't the end of the story. Maybe it was the ultimate cleanup job. After all, what's the easiest way to erase someone from ongoing investigations, unpaid debts, or dangerous alliances? Simple. You kill them off in public. Or at least make it look like you did. Now let's drag out some receipts. Or at least the kind of receipts they don't want you to see. Multiple insiders, from alleged label associates to random cousins of cousins, have whispered the same thing. Vaughn was paranoid in his final weeks. Not just paranoid about ops on the street, but paranoid about the people smiling in his face, signing his checks, shaking his hand. One supposed insider claimed, Vaughn kept saying, "It's not the streets I'm worried about, it's the suits." The suits. Let that marinate for a second. Because we're not talking gang beef. We're talking boardroom beef. We're talking about the kind of men in $1,000 suits who see artists not as people, but as profit margins. And once an artist becomes more trouble than profit, you already know the ending. But here's where it gets deliciously messy. The leaked reports. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, reports that mysteriously surface online for about 5 minutes before being scrubbed cleaner than a politician's Twitter feed. These so-called documents suggest that Vaughn's label had taken out a massive insurance policy on him weeks before his death. Think about it. You don't take out millions in life insurance unless you know something the rest of the world doesn't. And you definitely don't cash in unless the tragedy is guaranteed to go public. Now, whether those documents were real or part of an elaborate internet hoax, I'll let you decide. But let's play devil's advocate. If they were real, then suddenly Vaughn's last night looks less like bad luck and more like a stage production with millions at stake. And the public? Oh! The public ate it up. The tears, the candlelight vigils, the hashtags. Long Live Vaughn trended for days. Celebrities posted their tributes. Memes flooded Instagram. The streets turned his name into a rallying cry. And while fans mourned, guess who laughed all the way to the bank? That's right, the suits. But the story doesn't stop at money. Because public reaction wasn't just about grief. It was about suspicion. Scroll through the comment sections of those early reports, and you'll find people asking the very questions the media ignored. Why was the footage so shaky, so conveniently blurry? Why were the narratives inconsistent? Why did certain eyewitnesses contradict each other within hours? And then came the bombshell, a so-called anonymous nurse who claimed Vaughn never made it to the hospital. According to her, he was pronounced dead at the scene, yet hours later, reports swore he was in surgery fighting for his life. Which one was it? You can't be both gone and fighting at the same time. Unless the story was being rewritten in real time. And this is where the call comes crashing back into focus. Because if Vaughn was already gone in the official sense, then who exactly was making those late-night phone calls? Our mysterious address in the suburbs. The one no blog dared to cover. The one connected to no label, no crew, no ops. Just a random house with curtains always drawn, and neighbors who swear they saw strange cars coming and going for weeks. Neighbors like one older man. Let's call him Mr. Jenkins, because every neighborhood has a Mr. Jenkins, who claimed he saw a young man with dreads sneaking in around 2 a.m. the night of Vaughn's supposed death. Coincidence? Or was Mr. Jenkins unknowingly watching hip-hop history being rewritten right in front of his porch? And then there were the leaked messages. Screenshots floating around on shady forums, allegedly showing texts from Vaughn's burner phone. Messages like, "Don't believe what you see," and "They gon' say it, but I'm not gone." Of course, skeptics dismiss them as fake. But tell me this. In a world where deepfakes, Photoshop, and AI voices can trick even the smartest of us, do we really think the industry wouldn't use those same tools to shape the narrative however they wanted? And let's not ignore the timing. Timing is everything in the music game. Vaughn's album was set to drop. Streams skyrocketed post-Dash death. The label cashed out big time, riding the wave of tragedy all the way to platinum plaques. Almost like they knew tragedy sells better than talent. Almost like the whole thing was orchestrated. But here's the kicker. If this was a stage production, then the person on the other end of that late-night phone call wasn't just a bystander. No. That person became part of the script. The hidden character. The one who holds the missing piece to this puzzle. Because if Vaughn trusted them enough to reach out, then they know exactly what went down that night. They know the truth buried under the headlines. And here's where we hit the cliffhanger. Because while part one was about the phone call itself, part two is about the forces circling around it. The scandals, the cover-ups, the insurance policies, the blurred footage, the mysterious suburban hideout. All of it points to one conclusion. The official story doesn't add up. So let me ask you this. If the call was real, if Vaughn was really in hiding, and if the industry really cashed out on his death, then what happened next? Did Vaughn vanish into thin air? Did he lay low, waiting for the perfect moment to reappear? Or did the very people he was running from finally catch up from behind closed doors? So here we are, the final chapter. You've heard the whispers, the rumors, the shady receipts, the phone call that nobody was supposed to hear about. But the question that still lingers like smoke in a room is simple. If King Vaughn really was hiding that night, if he really slipped out a script the industry wrote for him, then where is he now? And this, my friends, is where the story gets even darker and funnier if you have a twisted sense of humor. Because the fallout wasn't just a wave of grief and hashtags. No, the fallout was an entire machine scrambling to keep its secrets buried. Within weeks of Vaughn's so-called death, reports started surfacing of quiet investigations. Not by the police, because let's be honest, they were busy pushing the official story, but by government agencies. Agencies that suddenly started poking around the finances of his label, questioning the timing of that mysterious insurance policy, and even digging into the suburban property where those calls were traced. Coincidence? Please. When the feds start sniffing around, you know someone's money trail doesn't smell right. But of course, every investigation comes with convenient obstacles. Files lost, witnesses unavailable, surveillance footage corrupted. It's almost like the truth was being smothered before it could even breathe. And yet, for every door they slammed shut, another one cracked open. Like the leaked footage, not the shaky club videos you've seen 1,000 times, but an entirely different clip. A grainy black and white security tape allegedly showing a figure slipping into that suburban hideout. The very same night Vaughn was declared dead. Same height, same build, same signature walk. Now, skeptics will say, that could be anyone, and they're right. But it could also be the one person they swore was gone. And that's the problem. And then there were the sightings. Oh, you know how this goes. Fans claim to have spotted Tupac in Cuba, Elvis in Vegas, Michael Jackson working at a gas station. Most of it, pure delusion. But when multiple unrelated people start reporting the same thing, Vaughn in Atlanta, Vaughn in Houston, Vaughn even spotted in the backseat during an Instagram live of another rapper. Suddenly the delusion doesn't feel so far-fetched. But let's step back. Because even if Vaughn wasn't physically alive, the impact of the cover-up had real-world consequences. Lawsuits started flying. Families demanding answers about insurance payouts. Fans demanding accountability from labels. Even politicians started weighing in, using Vaughn's case as an excuse to grandstand about violence in hip-hop, while carefully avoiding the bigger question: who profits when rappers die young? And let me tell you, the suits were sweating. Because while fans were crying, the money was flowing. And when money flows too obviously, regulators come knocking. Imagine boardrooms in panic, executives shredding documents, scrambling to find fall guys. Imagine the muttering. We can't let this leak. If they find out Vaughn wasn't where we said he was, we're done. And yet, despite the panic, the public kept pushing. Every inconsistency, every blurred line, every fake-sounding statement from so-called eyewitnesses became fuel for conspiracy. The harder they tried to bury the truth, the louder it screamed from cracks. And here's the part that blows the whole thing wide open. The diary. Yes, you heard that right. Months after the chaos, a notebook allegedly belonging to Vaughn surfaced online. Scribbled pages, half-legible thoughts. Paranoia dripping from every line. One page in particular stood out. It read, "If I don't make it, don't believe what they say. I'm with the ones they don't see." Now, skeptics again will roll their eyes. That could be fake. But tell me this. Why did the page vanish from every forum within hours of being posted? Why were accounts sharing it mysteriously suspended? When something disappears that fast, it usually means it hit a little too close to home. And while the internet speculated, the streets talked. Anonymous whispers claimed Vaughn was being moved from city to city, tucked away under fake names, shielded not by gang ties, but by the very same suits he feared. Why? Because sometimes the easiest way to silence someone is not by killing them, but by locking them away in plain sight, out of reach, out of mind. But here's the question that'll keep you up tonight. If Vaughn really was alive past that night, was he free? Or was he a prisoner of the very system he tried to escape? Think about it. If you're a cash cow, they milk you alive. If you're a liability, they kill you off. But if you're both, maybe they keep you hidden, controlling your every move, while the world thinks you're gone. And the fans? Oh! The fans became detectives overnight, zooming in on blurry screenshots, analyzing every lyric for hidden messages, breaking down his last interviews like scholars decoding ancient texts. Some insisted he planned it all, that he wanted to be a legend, that disappearing was the ultimate exit. Others swore he was a victim of a larger machine, a pawn in a game too big for even him to escape. Meanwhile, the label kept quiet. Too quiet. No explanations. No clear answers. Just profit. The streams kept rising, the merchandise kept selling, and the long-live-on narrative became their golden goose. Which raises a final, haunting question. Was the world mourning a man or celebrating a carefully manufactured illusion? And now we circle back to the one thing that started it all. The call. The night Vaughn supposedly reached out, paranoid and shaky, confessing he knew something we didn't. That call remains the one thread they couldn't erase. Call logs vanish, but whispers never die. The person on the other end, the one who heard his voice, they hold the key to everything. They are the ghost witness in this entire story. The living proof that the truth was never what we were told. So where does that leave us? In a cycle of questions, contradictions, and cover-ups. In a world where truth is buried under headlines, and headlines are bought by the highest bidder. In a reality where maybe, just maybe, King Vaughn didn't die the way they said. Maybe he didn't die at all. And as we close this chapter, I leave you with this. How much of what you believe is real and how much is scripted? How many more artists have stories that never see the light of day? And if Vaughn really did make that call, if he really was hiding, then who else is hiding right now? Because the truth, ladies and gentlemen, isn't just out there. It's buried under layers of money, power, and fear. And the question is, are you willing to keep digging? So now, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it all. The mysterious phone call, the disappearing files, the insurance policies, the suburban hideout, the diary they tried to scrub from the internet. Every piece of this puzzle screams the same thing. The truth you were sold is not the truth that happened. But here's the million-dollar question. If King Vaughn really called that night, if his voice really broke through the static just long enough to leave clues behind, then what does that mean for everything we think we know? Did he outsmart the suits and vanish into thin air? Did the machine lock him away, keeping him alive but invisible? Or are we all just playing into the greatest stage performance hip-hop has ever seen? And the bigger question is this. Why are mainstream outlets talking about it? Why isn't the label pressed? Why do all the people who knew something suddenly go quiet, accounts deleted, interviews cut short, videos mysteriously demonetized? Almost like the truth is too expensive to tell. But I'm not here to give you the final answer. I'm here to hand you the shovel. Because now it's up to you to keep digging. What do you think really happened that night? Was it a cover-up? Was it Vaughn rewriting the script? Or was it the ultimate illusion designed to keep us distracted while the money flowed? Drop your theories in the comments right now. Don't hold back. I want to hear the wildest, craziest, most mind-blowing takes. And trust me, I'll be reading. And if you want more stories the industry prays you never hear, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next truth bomb might just be bigger than this one. The truth is buried. Are you brave enough to dig it up?